So thanks for the warm introduction, Carla. So I will share the presentation with my colleague, Carmen Bonillo Martinez. So I will first present the Avionics Mandates, and then she will present the new navigation part of the CS ACNS. So let's start with the mandates. This is the content of the presentation, but I will go through it. So these are the mandates that we'll talk about today. So sorry, this is a not easy to digest slide, but you can see on the right side in the yellow boxes all the mandates, and on the left side all the regulation that are used to build those mandates. So you can see there are a lot of regulations. This is not easy to read. But on the right side, you will see the mandates. So on the mandates, we have the TCAS 7.1 first to install a new design of array for TCAS. You also have the VHF 833 kHz. This is a mandate to have a aircraft installed with radio allowing 833 kHz voice channel spacing. You have the mandates regarding Datalink to have aircraft installed with Datalink capability with ATN baseline 1. And you have all the mandates regarding transponder, MODES, and ADS-B out. The last line is not today an airborne mandate, but we decided to put it here to inform you about the forthcoming mandate that will be on the PBN and on the ATN baseline 2. So today this is a pilot common project, so you have the number of the regulation, and it applies PBN, so performance-based navigation, and this is applied to ground segment only for the time being, and there are specific requirements for ATN baseline 2. Specific functionalities of ATN baseline 2. I will not go into the details of this one today. Looking at this slide, this is difficult to understand what is required for when, which type of aircraft is affected, and what kind of exemptions are you are allowed to. So that's why we built this presentation to provide you a kind of synthetic way of addressing the mandates. So let's start first with the TCAS 7.1. So this is the, I would say the easiest one. So the affected products, this is only turbine-powered aeroplanes with a max certified takeoff max exceeding 5 ton 7. With the aeroplanes authorized to carry more than 19 passengers. And this is not applicable to unmanned aircraft and not applicable to rotorcraft. The deadline is well behind us today. This is December 2015. And there is no exemption. This one is really easy. Then we have the radio, VHF 833 kHz. So affected products, all aircraft. No condition. Deadline is again behind us. This is 1st January 2018. And you have a list of exemption. So here I mentioned the state aircraft. You have special arrangement for state aircraft. I will not go into the details of the exemption. I try to summarize here the exemption. But if you want to have further details, please look at the article that I've mentioned in the presentation. So there are exemptions here for state aircraft, for special arrangement for state aircraft, and also member states can grant local exemptions, especially for VFR flights. But please again refer to the appropriate article in the regulation. Then we have all the mandates related to transponder. So first, we have the MODES with elementary surveillance, which applies to all aircraft for IFR flights. And this is the deadline is the 7th of June 2020. And again, you have special arrangements for state aircraft. Please refer to the Article 8 of the regulation. And again, on MODES transponder, you have for the fixed-wing aircraft, only fixed-wing aircraft, the enhanced hybrid surveillance with additional parameters as compared to the elementary surveillance that we have seen on the previous slides. So this applies only to IFR flights and only to aircraft with a max takeoff mass exceeding 5 tons 7, or with a maximum true airspeed greater than 250 knots. The deadline is again the same. This is 7th June 2020. And you have exemption for state aircraft. And you also have exemption for specific aircraft types with a COFA prior to 7th of June 2020. Again, please refer to the article. Then we have the ADS-B out. It applies to all aircraft. Again, the same with IFR flights. Maximum certified takeoff mass exceeding 5 tons 7, and maximum true airspeed greater than 250 knots. And again, this is the same deadline, 7th of June 2020. You have exemption for state aircraft and also exemption for the antenna diversity, meaning that sometimes you're not obliged to equip with both antennas, top and bottom antenna. And this is possible for specific aircraft types with COFA prior to 1st January 1990. Then Datalink ATN baseline 1. This is applicable to all aircraft, but aircraft in IFR flights flying above flight level 285. And the deadline is again 2020, the 5th of February. Here the exemption is difficult to read, but this is worth trying to summarize it. So you have special arrangement for state aircraft. You have arrangement for aircraft that have a COFA before January 2014 and that are already FANS 1A compliant. And you have also exemption for aircraft that will reach end of service before 2022 and for which COFA is before 2003. And you also have exemption for aircraft with testing, delivery, or for maintenance purposes. So here, then you have your mandates, and then you have to apply, install the equipment related to those mandates, and the CS ACNS will provide you requirements regarding those mandates. So we try here to link the different mandates with the different section of the CS ACNS. So section 1 on communication will provide you requirements for installing the VHF 833 kHz. The section 2 of the CS ACNS will provide you requirements for ATN baseline 1. And then today we have a subpart C in the CS ACNS, which is not yet filled in, but we have an NPA in progress. I think the comments are now closed. And this part will be filled in and will allow to answer to the future mandate on PBN. And so my colleague Carmen will present this new section of the CS ACNS and later in the presentation, on the following slide. And then we have the mandates on transponder, for which you have a dedicated section for each of the mandates. So MODES, ELS, it is section 2. MODES, EHS, this is section 3. And ADS-B out, this is section 4. And this is it for the mandates. And we'll let the floor to my colleague Carmen for the presentation, so for the new navigation part of the CS ACNS.
Thank you, Nicola. And I will try to be very quick because I think all we are hungry at the moment, behind schedule. So I'm just presenting the CS ACNS general context of the navigation part and some of assumptions, structure, and summary. So I'm not going to go in deep in details of the technical content of the future CS ACNS navigation part, but you will have at least a good understanding of what is in the what is planned to be in this section of the CS ACNS, and what are the hypotheses and assumptions of the people who participated in writing this material. So the CS ACNS was published in the past and was containing a subpart C, navigation, which was empty, waiting for a development of the material to be published there. But it's containing already subpart I, general, subpart B, communications, subpart D, surveillance, and subpart E, others, which is containing today TOS and RBSM. So for the subpart C, navigation, in February this year, it was published in Notice Proposed Amendment 2018-02. The commenting period for this MPA is expired. It ended in May, end of May. So as far as I understood, there was a little bit more than 500 comments received for that. And then it will be now into the comments response document, and probably the decision taking beginning of next year. So, context of the CS ACNS navigation. So there was already the ANCs 20s, 24, 25, 26, 27, and 28. The idea is to incorporate this material, at least the airworthiness part, into the CS ACNS navigation part, and it's based on the PVM manual 4th edition. TGLs, I suppose, is referring to the TGL 12, and the AC 2038D from the FAA. So this is basically what had been used to create the CS ACNS navigation part. And in terms of commonality, maximize harmonization or commonality with the FAA advisory circular, which is also part of the foundation. There are a few differences with respect to the AC 2138D. And it takes into account also industry standards like the DO 236, DO 283, and DO 229. The ETSO for the FMS is also extensively used in the CS ACNS navigation part. Continue with the assumptions. The CS ACNS is the same approach that it was used in the other parts. Introduce high-level requirements as part of the CS, and then separate what is safety and interoperability and solutions in the AMCs. So there are really few high-level and open-worded requirements, and then the rest is covered by the AMCs. Compared to the previous AMCs, the CS ACNS is only containing the airworthiness part. So the operational part, which was previously on the ANCs, are now covered in AMCs of the parts implementing rule of operations. There is also target on the writing this material, the assumptions that most of the aircraft today are targeting AirNav and RMP with the GNSS installed. So the CS ACNS has been written to recognize that the GNS is basically what is being used by most of the aircraft today to achieve RMP or AirNav. And the only possible exception could be to use DME based on AirNav1, but this is not covered today in the CS ACNS, so it will be build up in the future if considered necessary. So also, the intention was to try to help those organizations which might have less experience in participating in written the maps and the MOPs from the industrial standards, and that may have difficulties to read and to understand those documents. So we know that there are big companies or even some small ones that are actively participating in RTCA and EuroCAE working groups, but the CS ACNS part was written for the full audience, even the small DOAs companies. So the recognition that, again, regardless of the navigation specification, the function at aircraft level is, most of the cases accomplished by the same system, FMS, navigation system, displays, autopilot. And that the ATSOs, or many cases, the companies are installing, the DOAs are installing equipment which are already covered by an ETSO authorization, and that recognition that many of the requirements which are covered already at equipment level are recognized when trying to comply with the CS ACNS. So in terms of a structure, there is a bigger step forward compared to the previous AMCs. So now there are, a kind of list of capabilities, operational capabilities. You have RMP 4.2.1, RMP 0.3, or RMP approach, RMP approach authorization required, or advanced RMP. And the CS ACNS is contained in this table, which guide the people, depending on the target of operational objective, which section has to be fulfilled and addressed during certification. So there is, the first section and 1 and 2, which are required for everything. And as soon as you go to build up further operational capabilities, you might have to apply other sections as required, and this is indicated in green in the table, or optional, and this is indicated blue on the table. So in sections 3 to 7, you cover specific NAV applications, and in section 8 to 10, it is covered specific functionalities, radio to fix radius transition, and parallel offsets. So the CS ACNS navigation part contains also 3 appendices. Appendix A is providing guidance on installation and testing. Appendix B is providing some general requirements for installing inertial navigation system. And Appendix C, which is giving also some test patterns to demonstrate the RF leg capability. So it's very similar to what is now in the FAA Advisory Circular 2130 AD, with some revised instructions. And this is just the summary of my presentation about the objectives of this CS ACNS navigation. High-level objectives, less duplication, because in the way we have organized in subsections, and depending on the build-up of capabilities, you go from applying 2 or 3 or the necessary subsections. More practical approach, taking benefit of ETSOs, and recognizing that most of the cases the GNS is the standard which is used. So the final objective is to get the aircraft certification for PBN much easier. And I think this is the last slide. So I think if you have any question for me or for Nicola, you are now open to.
Well, there are indeed some questions. Thank you, Carmen. Thank you, Nicola, and thank you, Hete, for staying in the background for our backup. Oh yes, David, sorry, I just saw you now. Okay. One question, which is interestingly, there seem to be rumors out there about ADSB out mandate, which could be, according to those rumors, be postponed to 2025, so to the year 2025. So, Carmen, Nicola, have you heard those rumors?
Yes, indeed, there are rumors, but and there is a work on an amendment on the implementing rule, but so far this amendment is not yet published, so the official date is really the 2020. So there are discussions. This is true, but there is no outcome, and some people are reluctant to push for the date, for the delay. So today, applicants should consider that 2020 is really the target date.
Thank you for that. Another interesting question. I'm trying to read it at the same moment. How can we identify the ops capability of the installed systems so that the operator can get the ops spec amended with the capability? So identify our RNP or performance-based navigation, Doc? Is the question clear? Otherwise, we can microphone to
I don't think I completely understand the question.
Okay, so we get a microphone to Mr. Franz Redak, please.
Yeah, the request is coming from operators actually asking us for specific statements in the flight manual to identify PBN document references and to which standard this system is approved to, so that they can get their ops spec, which they need to operate the aircraft with, amended with that capability. And the point is only how can we from certification help the operators to get their ops capabilities updated?
You want to answer it?
So Hete Hökema is our senior expert for avionics.
This question, I think, has a long history, and it relates to the changes that we made to the ops requirements, in particular the AMC to the ops to the part CAT operations requirements and other requirements relating to PBN. So what we said there is we've essentially made it easier. We don't always require a full certification effort against our materials. Sometimes aircraft have been certified in the past against US, so the FAA ACs. And what we've done on the ops side is that we've been more relaxed in accepting those ACs, accepting statements from manufacturers, and so the operator can use that and take it to their aviation authority, their authority in control or having oversight over their operations, and show that the aircraft can actually perform certain procedures. And a typical example is RMP approach, for example, where if you have a statement against the old 2129, if I'm not mistaken, or 2138, then we would accept that on the ops side. On the airworthiness side, it's slightly different. We have our own requirements. If you come with an airplane and you want to have an airworthiness approval, then you have to comply with our requirements. But on the ops side, we're a bit more flexible. Now, the downside of that is indeed, Franz, what you're pointing at is that I think some of the ops authorities still have to adjust to that, and they want these statements made in the flight manual. That was not our intent. Our intent was, if there is a statement already in the flight manual, but it's not to one of our AMCs, that we would accept it. It's not intended for operators to seek to come back to you, the DOAs, and to seek a specific procedure to have all that now included in the flight manual. How do we resolve this? I still need to think about it. It's a bit of a difficult question. I think it's more in terms of educating the ops authorities rather than for the DOAs to start implementing these changes in the flight manual. Again, that was not our intent, and I don't think that that's the way that we should be going. I hope this answers your question.
Thank you.